Listen, let's not mince words. Let's just get right to it. Like, let's talk Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Salty Socks. It's your boy, Joseph, and Sean.
Listen, we changed our name from Salty Socks like 3 years ago.
Dads of Dagobah. Welcome back to another episode of Dads of Dagobah. It's been a while since we saw you. I think our last episode was the Bad Batch recap episode, right?
Yes. It was a long time ago. I think since then I've had another child. I've had who is now like 6 months old. Little Nolan joined the family. I'm in a new house with the new home office, my new studio here. It's very nice. But yeah, Joseph, why are we dusting off the old podcast equipment?
Because a new television series has just dropped, Sean. Today was the series premiere of the Book of Boba Fett. Ladies and gentlemen, it's arrived and it was lackluster. Oh, what? It was, there's a lot of hype for this episode, and I'll tell you what, whatever.
Listen, I'm so glad you said that, and so I didn't have to be, I thought I was going to have to be the negative one on this. I couldn't agree more. What was that? That was...
Was it a centaur?
It was a Machamp. It was a Pokemon Machamp Centaur Spiky Machamp. That's what I called it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. That was a weird monster. I'm just going to go... I did not like that monster at all, but that's just me.
Its face seemed too cartoonish for like a Star Wars alien creature. But I guess that's a little too nitpicky. But I do agree with you. We have been waiting for this for a year since the Mandalorian Season 2 finale.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say obviously highly anticipated. Like maybe the only thing more anticipated than this show has been the Obi-Wan show. But I think other than that, this Book of Boba Fett was supposed to be this huge, like everyone very, very excited. And all the press leading up to it was like every episode was going to have these major surprises. You'll never believe what they let us do in this show. And so this is only the first chapter of a 7-chapter series. And so maybe at 7 weeks from now, we'll look back and say, yeah, chapter 1 wasn't amazing, but it still was good, and the show ended up being amazing. That's definitely still a possibility. I'm not, I haven't given up on the show by any means. But yeah, I didn't feel like this episode gave me anything that was really like, what was the big thing that, if you were going to go on Twitter and spoil this episode, what would you even say? There was nothing to even spoil. I was like, all right. Like, that was a kind of a slow-paced ho-hum plot line there. I don't really know how to even describe what happened other than we got to see how he got out of the Sarlacc pit, and then he was a prisoner of the Tusken Raiders, and then that was the flashbacks. We did get to see Kamino, and we got to see Geonosis for half a second. That was kind of cool. I was very confused by Boba Fett's strategy in the present day on maintaining Jabba's criminal empire. Like, is it just him and Fennec? It's just him and Fennec Shand? How are they enforcing any of this, that he's the new crime lord?
Can I ask you an even more broad question? What is the point of the show?
Yes.
With Mandalorian, first episode, bam, Baby Yoda, Grogu. We see it, we're like, okay, this is something. You know, with movies, I mean, we're hooked in real fast. Here's the thing. We've had such a drought for Star Wars stuff. It's been a drought since Luke Skywalker showed up, right? And it's been a year since that happened. The only thing we've gotten is some Bad Batch, which obviously we enjoyed. we thought, we're excited for more seasons, but it's a cartoon. It's not. There's no movies anywhere on the horizon. Like, when is the next movie, right?
Especially because I think that Rogue Squadron movie got like delayed or pushed back or
something. What's the future of Star Wars? Marvel, let's go back and hit on the Marvel thing. Marvel continues to hit it out of the park with TV shows and movies. They somehow have a cohesive little thing going on there. Anyway, that rant's over. This was the end of a drought, and honestly, I still feel like Boba Fett digging up little water pods in the desert. Like, we got a little bit of something, but it wasn't a whole lot of anything.
It was still like a mostly positive experience watching it. I wasn't like, this is absolutely a disaster, terrible, but I 100% agree with you. There was no hook in that first episode. And I was even telling Corey, my wife, after I watched it, I was like, I don't think, like, because I am a Star Wars fan, I obviously will continue to watch this series. Like, I'm interested to see what happens. I'm interested to continue to watch all the Star Wars content that comes out on Disney Plus. But for a casual Disney Plus subscriber that didn't get Disney Plus for the Star Wars content, why would they keep watching the Book of Boba Fett? There was nothing in that episode to me that would really hook anybody. And I know I don't want to rant either, but I will go to my grave with this era of Star Wars that I feel like the Disney era of Star Wars has had enough time to see the formula that Marvel has employed. It just baffles me that they're not doing what Marvel is doing. How get Kevin Feige in to talk with whoever he needs to talk to on how to build a cinematic universe.
The sandbox is open. They're not even beholden to any comic books. They can do whatever the heck they want.
First of all, I've been a little bit late on some of the Marvel shows, so we just started watching Hawkeye. We've seen the first like 1 or 2 episodes, and I would say go out on a limb and say Hawkeye is the least interesting Avenger in the whole world, the universe. And that show was more, in the first episode, 2 episodes, was more interesting than the Book of Boba Fett first episode.
I mean, even The Mandalorian Season 2, after we've had Grogu for a whole season, remember what the first chapter was last year? It was the Krayt Dragon. That was an amazing episode.
That was amazing. And arguably, I'll go back to this, if Disney Plus can make in the first episode Hawkeye an interesting character and the hook for an interesting show, and Star Wars can't make Boba Fett an interesting hook for a series, we are in trouble.
We are at the very beginning. We're 1 episode in, but you and I both share the same thing, like, good, not great. And that's kind of worrisome for Book of Boba Fett. I thought it was going to be fantastic.
And again, I texted you today, and I'm sure all of our devoted listeners, viewers, are tired of me saying this because I said it all through Mando. I'm saying it again, Book of Boba Fett. When I first saw that the show was 38 minutes, I'm like, so with credits and everything, this is like a 30-minute episode. And every Marvel show has given me like a 50-minute, hour-long episode. I'm like, why can't Star Wars give me longer episodes? And then I watched the first episode. I'm like, that felt like 3 hours.
Yeah, it did feel
like 3 hours of digging up water pods in the desert. And so maybe it was good that they cut out whatever. I don't know what else filler they could have put into that thing. No, I still am excited for the rest of the series. I don't think it was a strong first episode. It didn't get me excited. I have no idea what problem are we trying to solve. What is the rest of this series even about? Is it about him?
Here's my word. Are we just going to get flashbacks, half an episode, and present day the other half? I mean, is that what the future of this show is?
Literally, and I'm sure people may disagree, and leave in the comments if you know what the hook of the show is. But literally, the only thing that I can think of that they dangled something out was there's going to be some confrontation with this mayor.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, because my biggest hook, honestly, the part where I got the most excited, you want to take a guess before I tell you?
Was it during a flashback or was it during a?
During the flashback, it was seeing the waves of Camino. I was like, oh, freak, we're going back to Camino? This is legit. And then, oh, never mind. Oh, cool, we're going to Geonosis. Oh, this is cool. That was like the best part of the episode for me. I was
So
like, 2 shots.
Yeah, I'm curious if we'll get. See, I thought maybe the flashback thing was the slow part of the episode. I liked seeing Camino and Geonosis, and I get that it was good to see him like escape the Sarlacc. But I think we spent way too much time on him with the Tusken Raiders and gaining their confidence. I'm like, what's happening in the present day? Because all we saw was a few people come in, pay him tribute. The mayor's not going to pay him tribute, so I'm like, okay, we need to have a showdown with the mayor. Then he goes to the little cantina. We get to see Max Rebo. That was fun. So,
okay, was it though? Because did he get off the sail barge? Because how did he escape from the sail barge?
Was he on the sail barge? Okay.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe it's Max Rebo's cousin.
I watched Return of the Jedi 2 days ago in preparation for this, and yeah, Max Rebo, he's in a little circular organ on the barge.
Well, then we need a flashback just for that. They need to give us a flashback on Max Rebo in a Bacta tank and how he got out of the Jabba's sail barge.
Other parts that I did enjoy the tributes. I thought that was kind of interesting, but even then I was like, okay, but yeah, I think the mayor part is the conflict, I guess. Then going to what they call it, the Oasis, the Sanctuary. What is that? What it's called?
Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting. And then the parkour fight. I was like, what is the point of this?
I did think it was interesting, obviously, that they basically Boba Fett and Fennec got beat in the street.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this can't be a good look if you're like, this would not be happening to Jabba. No one's attacking Jabba in the street, and Jabba's not getting beat down and like lying on his face in the sand and panting to his Gamorrean guards like, get me back to the Bacta tank.
Yeah. It was interesting, though. I mean, they obviously made a conscious decision to show that Boba Fett is not 100%. You know, obviously he's older, but also he's weak. He's frail. He needs a Bacta tank just to sleep in, you know?
Oh yeah, I wasn't upset that was definitely an intentional choice they made to show that his reputation already, I think, is shaky. Like, he's not respected as the crime lord of Mos Espa or of Tatooine or whatever. And I think that is going to be a compelling storyline of how is he. You can't just, okay, he killed Bib Fortuna, and then what? He sits on the throne and he just expects that everyone's going to pay him that respect, and I think it's good to show that people aren't going to. But it made me scratch my head a little bit when he went into that Oasis Cantina place where they're like, okay, oh, you're the new guy? Okay, here's a bunch of our credits. Here's a bunch of our money. Welcome to Tatooine. This place is yours now. I'm like, really? Now, here's a question for you. Do you think that we know who the mayor is? Is the mayor a character that we have already seen in the Star Wars universe?
Did we not already see the mayor in a trailer? I thought we saw the guy. Maybe not.
We did?
I thought we saw another Twi'lek person who was sitting in a throne. Maybe not. Maybe it was a different guy.
You're right.
Are you saying it's Cad Bane or something? What are you saying?
I feel like I've been seeing on Twitter that people are like, the mayor's going to be Cad Bane. I don't know.
I don't understand the hype for Cad Bane, but again, that's because he's a Clone Wars guy, and I never really liked him in Clone Wars. But I feel like I'm in the very small minority there.
I like Cad Bane, and I would like to see a live-action Cad Bane. That would be awesome.
I wouldn't. Don't get me wrong. Would love to have him in there. I'm just not like he's the guy I want. You know.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Bossk or Dengar or anyway.
I do remember that the first episode of The Mandalorian Season 1 from 2 years ago, when we first started watching that, the first half of that episode, I was pretty like, man, I don't know, this is different than I thought it was going to be. It wasn't what I was expecting. It was slower paced, whatever. Obviously, by the end of that episode, when they revealed the baby Yoda, who we didn't know was Grogu at the time, but when they revealed Grogu, it changed the whole thing. It was like, made it a cultural phenomenon. Everybody had to watch this show now.
Yep.
And we were missing something like that from the Book of Boba Fett. There wasn't a big moment that I thought really captured the audience to make people feel like I have to keep watching this.
Totally agree.
And with that said, I will absolutely continue to watch this.
Oh, that's how they get us. Let's talk about the Tusken Raider camp. That was it was kind of cool to see a seemingly different, not species, a different culture within the Tusken Raiders. It looked like kind of more darker clothing, darker tents, not the typical kind of octagonal shaped mud hut, but this was kind of more nomadic sort of.
Yeah,
looking.
what are they in tribes? Are they in clans? I don't know what how we differentiate, but I did notice that too. It seemed to be a different sect.
Mm-hmm. Different set than the one that they showed in season 2 of The Mandalorian. But anyway.
And I mean, can we just say, pay our respects, moment of silence for that Rodian prisoner. He did the majority of the work. He found like 100,000 of the little water pods.
I still don't understand what those things were.
And Boba found like
3 inches under the 3 inches under the stand, and you've got like 3 cups of water. Why is Luke Skywalker moisture farming? Just use a big thing and start digging.
Yeah, how are those created? Are those naturally created? Did somebody bury those? Did the Tusken Raiders bury those?
I don't know.
And now they're refinding them? Or is it just the Spiky Machamp, their waste? That's actually Spiky Machamp urine.
What was so he tries to get away, the dog tries to eat him, whatever those things are. I know they have a name, I can't think of it right now.
The Mastiff.
Yeah, they don't get eaten. He gets beat up again. Then little kid takes him to look at the large farmstead. They look at it from a distance. They see that it gets robbed. And then she says, dig. And then they don't walk back. She just lays there as they dig. I didn't understand what this journey was.
Well, it wasn't the Lars homestead, though. You're just making a joke. You're making a joke. Okay. Just wanted to clarify. But I agree with you. When they went there, and then when the bandits or whatever left, they didn't even go over there. And the fountain was still spraying water out. I'm like, go get a drink, bro.
Yeah. It's like, watch this fight. Okay, let's go. Like, what? Anyway.
Obviously, it seemed like a plot device to show us the little sign that they put on the walls of whoever this swoop gang is here. Mm-hmm. But yeah. And again, that all was a huge flashback of 5 years before the present day. So I'm like, I don't know how any of this is relevant. Other than, I should say, the obvious connection is at some point in Boba Fett's reign as the new Jabba, I'm sure his relationships with the Tusken Raiders will come into play to give him some legitimacy and some strength in numbers if he has to go to battle with some sort of rival gang leader. Yeah. Maybe the Tusken Raiders will come and back him up. But
how many different giant monsters can the sands of Tatooine sustain? Not only do they sustain banthas, but crate dragons and hobgoblins or whatever this thing was. And what the? I don't.
And a Sarlacc. Now, is the Sarlacc dead? Did Boba Fett kill it?
I asked that same question. He didn't kill it.
But when we got out, it looked like the tentacles were just laying limp dead.
No, I totally agree. I was thinking the same thing. I even said, I was like, is the Sarlacc dead? And then one of my cousins was like, yeah, he burned it. But I'm like, the thing's massive. He didn't like kill the thing.
I was confused by that. I assumed it was dead, that he killed it.
I guess so. But then, anyway, I don't know.
Also, it seemed like he punched through the spiky membrane of it. Then he filleted it with his flamethrower. And at that point, did he just burn himself? Is that what all the scars and stuff are? Is that he has third-degree burns all over his face because he charcoaled himself in the process? That's what I assumed.
I think he was partially digested.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I don't know if you thought this. I thought that stormtrooper was going to jump scare us and be alive or something. I was like, that thing's alive, and then it wasn't. It took like oxygen out of him or something. Is that what that little move was?
That's what I assumed it was. But then he came up so far away in the sand. I'm like, did he tunnel? First of all, let's get real. I've never been in the situation of being, 30 feet buried in the sand, but I assume that it's not easy to laterally tunnel or tunnel up. I think it's probably very difficult to get any movement. So to be that far away from the epicenter of the Sarlacc, Boba, I think you needed to come up through the original mouth of the thing.
So my brother sent me a TikTok of the Parks and Rec episode where what's his face, the comedian guy who's doing the filibuster in the Pawnee City Council, and he's talking about Patton Oswalt, who's talking about how the hand of Boba Fett comes through the sands of Tatooine, and he climbs out of the Sarlacc. And they overlaid it with the video today, the episode, and it was like shot for shot total match. It's like obviously it was an Easter egg for those who like the Parks and Rec episode. Like they pan down, we see Jabba's barge destroyed, a hand comes out of the sand, and it's like, oh, that's exactly what they did. So anyway,
that's funny.
But the logistics of getting out of that Sarlacc pit, maybe they did it that way so that we couldn't see the middle to see if they still kept the beak or not. Because I know a lot of people didn't like that big beaky thing or whatever.
Well, the other question I have is now, 5 years later, he is the new crime lord here in Jabba's palace, set up camp. Does he have to be in a Bacta tank every single day? Like that's how he sleeps? Like why is he so dependent on the Bacta tank right now?
It looks like it, like kind of little Darth Vader, I guess.
I know. I'm like, that can't be good for your prognosis as the crime lord and undisputed leader of this area. That, I mean, you can't take a punch, dude, before you're like, get me back to the Bacta tank.
Oh, he was getting electrified pretty well, though. But it was interesting, that fight scene. I don't know if you watched it or saw it closely. His armor kind of took a lot of the electricity, but if you look at Fennec, she's just like getting whammed. Like she's just like, oh. It was kind of hard to watch. Anyway.
Yeah, I wonder how their relationship's going to progress, because already Fennec is like, you're not doing this right. You're like making dumb decisions, bro. And he's like, I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to rule with respect. And she's like, what? Like, we're going to die.
Yeah.
This isn't going to work.
It's an interesting relationship. Like, what does she get out of it, Because obviously right now there's not a whole lot happening. My final question for you is, after he kills the creature, does it have a name yet? Have we found out the name? Let's just what's the centaur's name from Harry Potter? What's his name?
Isn't it like Ferenzi or Ferenz?
We'll just call him Ferenz. After he kills Ferenz, Machamp, then the kid chops off the head and they go back to the camp. I assume what happens is the kid is claiming victory, and everyone's like, "Oh, good job, you killed it! You killed it! I can't believe you killed it!" But the old statesman is like, "I know you did it. Good job. Here's I know the kid is lying. I know you're the one who was responsible." Is that kind of, am I reading that scene right?
Oh, I absolutely thought that was the case. That the kid obviously is boasting, like, look at my trophy, I killed this thing. And everyone's congratulating the kid. No one's running over to Boba Fett like, you did it. but the chief guy is like, all right, here's some water for your efforts.
Yeah. Well, next episode is they're not doing Friday releases. Next episode is Wednesday of next week. I'm kind of bummed that they're not doing the Friday release because I feel like this show could really use another episode quickly. But anyway.
I agree, but that's not the way it is. We're going to have to wait one more week. I am hoping that we get a lot more.
We're only giving it one more chance.
I'm hoping we get a lot more progression into what to expect out of this show next week. I also think in the Mandalorian season 1, especially, the episodes did not seem connected, right? That was one of the things that was very confusing about the Mandalorian was it wasn't like it didn't seem like it was building on anything. It was just like these random one-off adventures.
Yeah, planet to planet sort of thing.
I'm going to be very concerned if next week the Book of Boba Fett episode doesn't have anything to do with Chapter 1. Like, this needs to build. We need to have some continuity here. Okay, sorry. Here's my last question. Do you think we will leave Tatooine in these 7 episodes?
No. Well, if we can go back to Camino, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, I hope we do leave Tatooine. I'm a little Tatooined out.
Honestly, now that I think about it, that shot from Camino, that did not look like a shot from Attack of the Clones. It looked like a completely new rendered sort of creation, right?
Well, I didn't look closely, but it looked like it was Boba's ship, the Slave 1. What was Jango's ship called?
I think it was Slave 1. It's the same ship.
Oh, it's the same ship, just different paint job?
Oh, I don't know. I thought it was always the same ship.
Isn't Jango's like blue and silver?
Yeah, like blue and silver.
And Boba's is like green and burgundy.
Well, yeah, but
I'm just saying. It looked like the green and burgundy version.
Really? I need to go back and
look I didn't look closely.
Well, I guess my thought is if they went through all the effort, with Geonosis, they just took a shot from the movie, right? But if they went through the trouble of putting in all these assets and making this whole Camino looking, planet, hopefully that's because we're going to go back and visit it again.
Did they take a shot from the movie? I think that Geonosis shot maybe was recreated. I don't think that was the same little Boba Fett actor. I don't even think we got a close-up of his face.
You think that Geonosis one was new too?
New footage. I think it was. They got that. Remember how they showed the behind the scenes? They got that whole whatever they call it now, where they can digitally do any backdrop.
The void. That'd be interesting.
Is it the void or is it the? Yeah, I don't know what it is. Doesn't matter. I'd love to go to Camino. I'd love to go to Geonosis. I'd love to get off of Tatooine.
I agree. I don't think we are though.
Well, it was definitely not what we expected for a first episode, but you can expect us here every week dissecting each episode from the Book of Boba Fett. We are excited to continue watching the show. And leave a comment down below on what you thought about this first episode. We didn't think it lived up to the hype, but maybe you thought it was amazing. And please convince us in the comments of what we missed and what we should be looking at to have a more positive outlook on this show. We love to see why people love Star Wars content. So happy to read those comments. And we will see you back here next week.
In 1 week. And Sean, with that, this is the way.
We have spoken, and we'll see you next time on the Dads of Dagobah.
Bye.
Bye.